Sorry about that. Good evening, everybody. March 11th, Westwood Washington School Board of Trustees meeting is now in session. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're glad so many people of you could make it. Since we have a quorum, please stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance, please. Thank you. Now it's time to get to the favorite part, and probably why 99% of you are here, for Student of the Month. Before we begin, we have a few details about how we'll proceed. David Dixon will be taking professional photos of each of the students as they receive their award. After our students have been recognized, we'll pause for a brief intermission. During the time, students, Family of the Month, other teachers, principals, and their families are invited to the lobby for refreshments. Mr. Dixon will also be available in the lobby to capture the photos of the Student of the Months and their families in the School of Representatives. And now we'll begin with the Virginia F. Wood Early Learning Center.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Marcy Dorado, and I am the director of the Early Learning Center, and I have a really special guy with me tonight. His name is Everett Kellums. His teacher and the assistants in the class recommended him because he shows empathy to all of the children in the room. He is a fantastic peer helper with the exceptional learners that are also with him in his space. His teacher does have some wonderful things to say also.
So this is my buddy Everett. Hold on, can we switch hands? Okay. This is Everett. He has been in my class for the past 2 years, and he has a ginormous heart. He is incredibly patient with children in our class, especially as they learn social skills and how to be a kid. And he helps everyone who needs a little extra help, whether it's a smile or a greeting or help playing. He is a friend to every kid he meets, and it's really, really powerful to see how great he does with them. Everett comes in ready to play and learn every single day, and he's come a long way in his own learning and growth. He is generous with lots and lots of hugs with us, with friends, and he's just a shining star in the classroom, and we are really excited for the amazing things he's going to do at Maple Glen coming up. And so we are proud to honor Everett as our VFW ELC Student of the Month. High five, dude. Okay. Here, look.
Congratulations. Next, Monon Trail.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeremy Marvel. I'm the principal at Monon Trail, and I have a wonderful first grade recipient of our Student of the Month, Chloe Udom, and also her first grade teacher, Miss Martin. So Chloe is just the epitome of everything we want to be, or everything that we want in a student at Monon Trail here in Westfield. She hasn't quite smiled yet, but I know it's coming. She has the most amazing smile. Every time I see her in a hallway, see her in classroom, anywhere in the building, she is always smiling, has a tons of friends, just does a great job following directions, just being an overall great student. And I did send it out to a few teachers just to share. Only being in first grade, most of our related arts team knows a lot about Chloe, so I'll share a little bit about what they said. Our librarian said, Chloe is a kind friend and helpful to everyone. She always has a smile on her face. She shows every day what it means to be a rock star. And our music teacher said, Chloe is a kind and hardworking student. Her beautiful smile lights up the room. You might hear that something about the smile even more when I give it to Miss Martin.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mackenzie Martin, and I have the privilege of being Miss Chloe's first grade teacher this year. Chloe academically is an incredibly hardworking student. She is often contributing her ideas and her thoughts, collaborating with her classmates, and always giving that 110%. She's also often looking for ways to challenge herself, whether that's asking for additional writing papers so that she can write some stories, asking for some more math problems. She's always keeping me on my toes with those, asking for more, and I love it. But some of my favorite qualities of Chloe's go way beyond academics. For example, she's incredibly thoughtful. Much like Everett, she's also really just a friend to everyone, which is really awesome to have in our classroom. And she's extremely helpful, not only to me, but others in our class. She'll often be found assisting and working with others with that big smile on her face, leading with compassion and encouragement, which is just something that's really awesome to have in not only a classmate, but a friend. So she's just a wonderful leader that we really like to have in our class. Like Mr. Marvel and everyone said, that big smile, you're going to see it at some point tonight, and you're going to know what we're talking about because it truly just gets you, puts a smile on your face. So I'm really, really proud to be her teacher and to get to see her learn and grow this year. So congratulations, Miss Chloe, you deserve it.
We had our photo session earlier too, right, Chloe? See that big smile. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2. Thank you, Chloe.
Congratulations. Next up, Oak Trace.
Good evening, everybody. I'm so excited to introduce this sweet girl to you. This is Margaret Dennison, and I'm here joined with her third grade teachers, Mrs. Loring and Mrs. Dankman. Her second grade teachers retired and even came back to be here today because she cares about her so much. Margaret just brings out the joy in everybody. She knows how to treat people right and do the right thing. I have some words from some of your teachers. Mrs. Corbin talks about how you were respectful. You were with her during a virtual kindergarten, so imagine doing kindergarten from home, and she did that. She was fun to teach during that year. Mrs. Kroner talks about how you persevere when reading can be tricky. Ms. Hellman talks about what a writer you were and all the books. Hopefully you still have some of those books you made in first grade. Mrs. Callahan talks about how you worked hard and stays on task till she completed it, and that's a really hard thing to do sometimes. Mr. Gibbs talks about how you treat everyone with kindness, and Mrs. Walker talked about, again, what a sweet and kind girl she is. That's a theme tonight. Everybody thinks you're pretty great, Margaret, and knows how sweet that she is. Mrs. Dankman just talks about how she models what it is to be a good student, and she starts discussions and really participates and shows that citizenship, and so we're really proud of that. And then Mrs. Loring talks about how she can treat people right and do the right thing, and you try your absolute best on everything. That's a lot of pressure to try it on everything, but she does. Give a round of applause to Margaret Dennison. Proud of you.
Next up, Shamrock Springs.
Good evening, everyone. I got Julian Weiss here, our Shamrock Springs Student of the Month, and I walked into our first grade teachers. They were having lunch, and I said, hey, can you pick one student for all the first graders to be our Student of the Month? And everybody said, Julian, 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 all of the teachers. So it wasn't just from one teacher, but really it came from everyone. Mrs. Bertram, who wanted to be here so bad, had a situation that came up last minute, but she had a few words that she would like to say that I'm going to share with you, Julian. So it's from Mrs. Bertram. Julian is so deserving of this award. He is new to Shamrock Springs this year and has come in ready to learn. Everybody loves him. He works hard in everything he does, even in areas that may not have been his strengths initially. When he started school, reading wasn't his strongest subject, but he worked his tail off to become a great reader. Through hard work in class and extra intervention, he has become strong in both reading and math. Julian is a silent leader, Always a great model for his peers. Plus, he's just the cutest thing there is. And a few words from his classmates. He follows all the lifelines or our guiding principles and always treats people right. He's hardworking, very kind. Another student says kind, helps others. Another student, kind, good listener, always a giving hand. And another one said leads by example. And this comes from your mom, your biggest fan of all. Julian, I love how kind and caring you always are to everyone. You are very thoughtful and have a great imagination. I hope and wish you lots of happiness now and in the future. Your happiness is everyone's happiness, Julian. It's just who you are. And Julian, we are so happy for you. You bring so much joy and happiness to everyone you meet. Our school is a better place because you are part of our Shamrock Springs family. Congratulations on being named Shamrock Springs Student of the Month. Let's hear it for Julian.
Congratulations. Next up, Washington Woods.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Zach, and I'm the proud principal at Washington Woods. And I'm very excited to introduce this very special lady with me, Elena Piper, and recognize her as our Student of the Month. As a Leader in Me school, we recognize a student for modeling one of the 7 habits of happy kids. This month, we are recognizing Elena for modeling habit number 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. It is a habit of listening to other people's ideas and feelings. It's trying to see things from other viewpoints. It's taking time to listen and understand another person fully before replying. I'm going to let her wonderful teacher, Mrs. Joseph, share a little bit about her.
Thank you. Hi. So first of all, we always read these out in front of the whole 4th grade each month when they get nominated. And I started to read mine. I always keep it a secret. So I always just say, you know, this person or this student. And when I got halfway through this, my whole class was going, it's Elena. It's Elena. So they knew that it was her before I even finished reading. So Elena is a perfect example of seek first to understand, then be understood. She walks into the room with an open mind every single day, ready to learn and grow. I have never witnessed her arguing with classmates or having to have her way, yet she is strong in her convictions. If she has input that she feels will benefit herself or her classmates, she listens and then speaks up and lets her ideas be heard. We are so thankful to have Elena in the classroom. We feel so blessed that she is a part of our school environment, and she's just an all-around excellent student. She's a great writer, she's a great mathematician, and just a great friend to everyone in the classroom.
Thank you. And I wanted to share, I absolutely love having you at Washington Woods. She is a shining light. She always has a smile on her face and a positive attitude. You are thoughtful and kind in your words, which gives you quiet power. When you speak, others listen. Elena steers clear from drama and aligns herself with genuine people who want to see her do well. She serves as a student leader on our broadcast team, and this is a very big role, as she has helped with daily live announcements for the entire school. She's a true leader and role model for all of our students. Elena, your family wants to share something about you too. They said, we are so incredibly proud of you. To see all of your kindness and willingness to lead and take charge towards us and your friends being recognized is a great accomplishment. This is not your first and certainly not your last. Please join us as we congratulate you. We are so proud of you and thank you for your thoughtful and caring heart.
Congratulations. Next up, Carrie Ridge.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany Buzan, and I'm the assistant principal at Cary Ridge, and I am very proud to present to you our student of the month, Miss Lucy McKinney. Lucy is a great student. She's a wonderful reader. She works hard in the classroom, but that is not the reason that Lucy was chosen to be our student of the month. It's because she's a really, really good person. And when I asked teachers to share things, we have 2 pages of things that teachers sent us to say about you, just how great you are. But I'd like to share a few. And one of the things that stood out throughout was the fact that Lucy is so kind to other kids. She is the first to applaud them when they do things right. She's the first to encourage them when they're having any difficulty. And she always tries along with them every step of the way. Mrs. Sims, this is Lucy's teacher, she shared a few things and wanted you to know that you are joy and sunshine in the classroom. You're such a good friend. You're flexible. You always go with the flow. And you have a positive impact on your class. One of the things that Mrs. Giddings, your second grade teacher, shared with us is that Lucy has a great sense of humor. She loves to laugh and have a good time. That's what I love about her the most, is she's just a joy to be around. She's very funny, loves to tell stories. And Mrs. Giddings says she always appreciated when you volunteered to read and use funny voices when you were reading to everyone. Mrs. Markeling says that you always make sure that others understand, you're supportive, and you're a shining star, and she loves to see that sparkle in your eye. Told you I had lots of pages here. Mrs. Stalter said that you approach every activity with a bright smile and a positive attitude. But one thing that she wanted everybody to know is that Lucy's not afraid to take risks. She will volunteer, and she will share her thoughts and opinions when she's asked to. We appreciate you, Lucy. We are so glad that you're part of Cary Ridge, and we're very, very proud of you.
Congratulations. Next up, Maple Glen.
Good evening. I am Mary Beth Fisher, the principal at Maple Glen, and this is Matthew Kramer, and he is our student of the month at Maple Glen. And most of the time, we have a teacher nominate, lots of nominations. This time is the first for us at Maple Glen. Matthew is a part of our student impact group, and this is a group of 3rd and 4th grade leaders who teach our lifelines within our building. They lead all school presentations for our whole school, and the leaders of impact, our staff, all 3 of them nominated Matthew for his contributions to that extracurricular activity and for what he does for our school. So I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Myers to share a few words about his impact within Impact.
So Mrs. Pate and Mrs. Riggle wanted to be here too, but you just got me. So, so we just said that Matthew is a member of our school impact ambassador group. This is a group, like Mrs. Fisher said, of 3rd and 4th grade leaders who embody our school lifelines and do their best to help teach these lifelines to the rest of the student body throughout the school year. Through being classroom mentors, participating in all school huddles, and other leadership opportunities. Matthew comes to each and every weekly meeting with a positive attitude and a happy heart. That boy always has a smile on his face that just brightens the world around him. Matthew puts great effort into all that he does. During this past trimester, his role for our awareness huddle was to work on the slideshow with another student. Matthew was always prepared with the necessary tools and came ready to work right from the moment each meeting started. There was never a complaint from him if someone else was not prepared or not on task. He just made sure to do the right thing and lead by example. Matthew compliments others often and makes sure to be a good partner. Anytime he was given constructive criticism about his slides, he immediately adapted and made the necessary changes. He was so proud of his work. This boy's going to do amazing things one day. We are so proud that we get to join him on a small part of his journey.
And his third grade teacher, Mrs. Parker, wanted to add on a little bit to your nomination. So she said, Matthew is an amazing classmate and leader in the classroom. He always treats others with kindness and respect. He looks out for others and offers assistance in an empathetic way. He models hard work and perseverance and displays exemplary behavior. I'm worn out just sharing all of that amazing thing. Matthew makes everyone's day brighter with his purposeful interactions and warm, caring smile. There's that same smile coming again. Keeps coming up. So please congratulate Matthew on being the Maple Glen Student of the Month.
Congratulations. Next up, Westfield Intermediate School.
There, the green light's on now. Good evening. My name is Lauren Kersey, and I'm one of the assistant principals at the intermediate school, and I am pleased and honored to be recognizing Emily this evening as our Student of the Month. And earlier this morning, I got the pleasure of observing Emily as she was arriving at school and she was greeting her teachers. And she was so humble and grateful and kind as she expressed a big thank you to her teachers for nominating her this evening. And I just thought, what a glimpse into the heart of Emily, you know, that she took the time to express her gratitude at a time when we're trying to honor her. So I thought that was really special. And I want to turn it over to her teachers, Mrs. Langston, Mrs. Renu, as they share a little bit more about Emily.
Dude, Emily, you made it. We're here. So happy to have you. I just wanted to say that you are a student that every teacher wants to have in their classroom. You come in, you are so kind, you're hardworking, you're empathetic. You embody you're so hardworking. You welcome everybody with that smile that we keep seeing as a recurring theme here tonight, but you also open your heart to different types of friendships, anybody you're willing to work with. But that also comes in with your willingness to share thoughts as well as ideas, and that really helps enrich our classroom discussions, our student discourse. We wouldn't have the same type of academic output if it wasn't for everything that you're also putting in. Not only academically, but going off of your positivity that you show every morning. Guys, I show up in the morning and I'm barely drinking my coffee. I'm like, I'm here, you know, and here comes Emily walking down the hallway every morning and she will show up with that big smile and she's like, hey, Mrs. Langston, good morning. And I'm like, that's right, good morning. I'm happy to be here and that's because you're here. So again, we are just so thankful to have you as part of our team and so thankful that you're in our class this year. You're so awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, let's give it up for Emily.
Next up, Westfield Middle School.
Good evening. I'm Stacy Swan, principal at Westfield Middle School, and it's my honor to be here tonight to recognize Ben Steele, one of our fabulous 8th graders. And I also have Mr. Krieger here, who's going to tell us about having Ben in class, and then I'll share some other things about what makes Ben so awesome.
I'm Cody Krieger, Ben's 8th grade social studies teacher. And I completely messed up. I wrote this huge speech because I thought it was Teacher of the Month. And so I'll save that for a later date. But no, on a serious note, you know, there couldn't be a more deserving student than Ben. And this honor just isn't about good grades, though he certainly excels in academics, but it also celebrates character, leadership, and making our school a better place. Ben's a shining example of what it means to be a role model. Whether in the classroom, among his peers, he consistently demonstrates kindness, responsibility, and a strong work ethic. Ben's teachers describe him as someone who's always eager to learn, willing to help others, and never afraid to take on challenges with a positive attitude. I'm so very proud of you, Ben.
And then when I went in to tell Ben that he got this, recognition, I walk into his Spanish class and I step in and I say, "I'm here to see," and the whole class says, "Ben Steele." And so, and so they knew that he was going to get recognized for something because of what a great classmate he is. And as I talked to them, they're like, well, why do you think Ben is getting this recognition? Because he's smart, he's hardworking, he's kind. And I wanted to share some other things. His language arts teacher, Mrs. Payne, says that you're extremely hardworking and you're caring towards other classmates, and you share strong leadership skills and compassion with your classmates. Mr. Pope says something very similar, that you're a strong leader in his class and you help kids as they have questions or you need things demonstrated to them, you're right there. So Ben is a great example of a student athlete in our building, and I know the high school is getting a great student and human being in the next few months, so we could not be more proud of Ben Steele. Congratulations, Ben.
Congratulations. Next up, Westfield High School.
Green light there. Okay, good evening. My name is Alicia Denniston. I am principal at the high school. I'm also here with one of our fabulous teachers, Sarah Worth, and we're here to honor tonight, last but certainly not least, senior Jalen Malone. And I always like to, with seniors, I like to share with you a little bit about goals and plans. And so I wanted to share. So Jalen still has a big decision to make about next year, and he's got lots of options on the table and many that want him. But he is deciding between University of St. Francis, Marian University, and IU Indy, and really looking to go into the business field. I'm looking at accounting, so we're excited for him there. He has been involved in many things throughout his time at WHS, BSU, chess club, basketball and track team, to name a few. And I asked him, what are you most proud of? And I love how you put this, Jalen. Competing at the highest level of high school basketball with my closest friends. And just watching this kid on the court is inspiration in and of itself. Just to see just that determination, just to see his hard work on the court, and we've also seen that in academics. So out of 3,000 students, we ask staff, who is rising to the top? Who do you think of when you think of a student that exhibits academic excellence and growth, as well as integrity and character, and then who is positively influencing those around him? And Jalen had many nominations. I am going to share a few of the staff members what they had to say about you, Jalen, and then you'll get to keep this entire thing so you can see what everyone said. I'm going to share from Mrs. Worth first, okay? And she says, when I first met Jalen, he was a freshman student that didn't quite know the level of effort necessary to maximize his academic potential. However, over time, he's strengthened his academic behaviors, specifically implementing focused note-taking strategies, and his confidence grew. At the start of his junior year, it just seemed to all click. His grades reflected his potential. And I think there's nothing better as educators than seeing that happen, where we see kind of that best version of you, and then it clicks and you are reaching that full potential. So his GPA has increased each trimester since, even with taking more challenging classes. He has grown so much academically, socially, and athletically, and I'm so proud of him. Coach Brangle says this: Jalen has made remarkable progress in both academics and leadership during his time at WHS. He has taken ownership of his learning, dedicating the time and effort needed to succeed at a high level. Additionally, he has invested in his personal growth, emerging as a leader both in the classroom and on the basketball court. This is the part I love the most. Most importantly, Jalen is a wonderful person and a positive influence on those around him. I'm incredibly proud of all that Jalen has accomplished. And then I really felt like, so our student mentor, Mrs. Smith, she wrote something that I think is beautiful because she gives you some well wishes into your next chapter, which we would like to echo as well. Being able to see him grow from his freshman year to his senior year and the continued strive to get better as a young man in the classroom and on the court is something to be proud of. And then she says, continue to push yourself and see the greatness that is within you. The next chapter of life is for you to be able to grow and experience and apply what you have learned. The growth I see in you shows that you are definitely ready to embrace what's next. Keep up the hard work, continue to shine your light, and remember that you can go as far as you believe. The spirit that you carry here at Westfield will be missed, but we are glad that others will get to experience your light. So Jalen, we are so proud of you. In addition to this, I have a book. This is one of my favorite books. I think you exhibit this book, The Coffee Bean, and then I wrote a little inscription inside. So we're really, really proud of you. I know I speak for Mrs. Worth as well when we say that. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all the students of the month. Parents, if you think about it, if your grandparents couldn't make it here, your aunt, uncle couldn't make it here, it is online. Please send them the feed so they can see all the nice things that were said about your son or daughter. At this time, the students and their families are invited to the lobby for refreshments and photographies from Mr. David Dixon. Thank you.
You're on.
So now I'm right here.
Yes, sir. You are public hearing.
Yep.
Yep. Reconvene.
Okay, we'll reconvene for the public hearing. At this time, we invite Attorney Andrew Manna from Church Hill and Atrium to the floor for the public hearing on the proposed superintendent contract.
Good evening, members of... There we go. Good evening, members of the board. Thank you. Andrew Manna from Church Hill and Antrim. By Indiana code, we are here this evening for a proposed superintendent contract that has been posted and on the website, along with 2 publication notices, February 24th in the Reporter and February 26th in the Times. According to Indiana code, we are to look at the proposed terms, which are summarized here. This version was the published and put on the website version. All the dates, including the July 1st through 2025, concluding in 28 with extensions as allowed by Indiana law. The annual salary of $205,249.46, the contributions to the 401A, 403B, and the rest of the provisions which are summarized in items 5 through 14. So, according to the publication, we are having a public meeting this evening, March 11th, 7:15, to hear any public comment, and this is separate and apart from your later public comment section. So at this time, Mr. President, if we have any public comment, would be the time to take public comment on the proposed contract.
Do we have anything online or from the audience?
No.
We are good.
Okay. Having no public comment and having fulfilled the publication notices 10 days in advance of this meeting, members of the board and Mr. President, I would entertain, if you would, pass it back to you for a motion on approval of the superintendent contract.
Thank you. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve Dr. Ather's contract as presented.
So moved.
I have a so moved. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. It has been moved and second to approve Dr. Ather's contract. Is there any discussion or any questions that anybody might have? No further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Congratulations.
Sir.
Next, we don't have any comments or anything from the internet as far as public comments go for this evening. So we'll just keep on moving on. The next item on the agenda is to approve the consent agenda. Consent items include board minutes, accounts payable, payroll vouchers, personnel reports, fiscal management, and authorizations of bonds. All items in the consent agenda have been reviewed by the board in advance of the meeting and approved in a single motion. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
I have one so moved.
Second.
I have a second. It has been moved in second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion or questions? All good? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Now I'd like to turn it over to Chris Baldwin for the business and operations part. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Mr. President, members of the board, in the consent agenda, the personnel report this evening, you just approved the appointment of Dr. Ryan Hoover as our new Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction. So I'd like to say congratulations to Dr. Hoover. He has done a wonderful job in our director role. He's been a great addition to our team in Westfield, has made a great difference with our teachers, parents, and students. and I look forward to what he does in this assistant superintendent role. So congratulations, Dr. Ryan Hoover, and I see he has some members of his family here to support him tonight. So Dr. Hoover, the floor is yours. Congratulations. Let's a round of applause for Dr. Hoover.
Thank you, members of the board. Thank you very much for this great opportunity. Dr. Kaiser, Dr. Ava, and Chris, Brian, your time and involvement with this has been wonderful. I'd like to introduce real quick my mother and father, John and Kathy Lakey, my wife of 26, almost 27 years coming up, Amy, and then my son Zach. Alex is at DePaul and Jake is at Purdue taking exams, so we didn't want to make them come back for this, but Zach was thrilled to join us today. Zach is an 8th grader at Brownsburg. And then I was very happy that my sister Shelley and my brother Johnny, who live in Carmel, were able to join us as well. So thank you guys for coming. A special thank you to our principals that I've had the luxury of working with for 3 years. Amazing group of people. In addition to that, working with them and the coaches and their assistant principals, as well as all of our amazing teachers and parents, has been a lifelong dream. And so I'm committed to trying to fill the shoes of Dr. Ava and continuing to serve the school board the best I can. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
I do just want to note and thank Ryan, not only for what he's done the 3 years he's been here, but accepting this role. I think it's important to note that we do not plan to fill the Director of Curriculum Instruction role. So he's taking on more responsibilities, stepping up, but also helping us be a little bit more efficient as we try to tighten our belt a little bit, especially in the central office. So I appreciate his willingness to do that and to step up, and we look forward to the great things you'll continue to do.
Congratulations again. Every month, we look forward to hearing updates from our construction partners on projects taking place throughout the district. Tonight, we are pleased to welcome 2 of our construction managers to provide updates on several Destination Westfield projects they are working on. Right now, we will hear from Chris, who works for Core Construction first.
Good evening, Board. Thanks for letting me be here tonight and present this information to you all. We have some really great news to show tonight as the Westfield Tennis building has been officially turned over and occupied. The building just looks awesome. So I don't know if you all have had a chance to walk through it and look at it yet, but I do have some good pictures here that'll give you a commercial of what it does look like inside. So just some notes. We received temporary certificate of occupancy on February 24th. The reason that it's a temporary is because we could not get some of the landscaping installed due to weather constraints. So right now we're targeting here in the next few weeks to get the landscaping in and the shrubs and trees that the city's requiring us to do. And then remaining items, there's an arched logo at the main entry that's still in production that's going to get installed here in the next 2 weeks. The plaques that are going to be mounted on the brick columns at the main entry are still getting produced. And then there's 2 Shamrock logos that'll be installed as well on that main entry. But other than that, the architect has walked through, verified all of our punch items have been completed and taken care of. So really the space is your guys to use now, which is super exciting. So this is just a good view of the front there. And then there's one taken from the courts, kind of showing what it looks like from a head-on view. This is a great space, being covered as it is, and that wood ceiling really gives it some cool effect as you walk up and you look at it. It's really, really neat. Here's just showing that front entry. So as I stated, there's an arch sign that goes in between those 2 columns and some plaques and logos that go on those brick columns as well. The picture on the right is just showing those are 4 bathrooms there that'd be the north side of the building, all individual bathrooms there. Here's the inside in the team room. You can see all the chairs set up and ready to go. Really turned out great with the TV locations and the little bit of cabinetry that we have on the back there for storing items that need to be stored. It's going to be a great space. So here's a picture of the locker rooms. This is one view. There's more lockers kind of coming around towards the back of me in this photo, and then that's a picture of one of the bathrooms that are within that locker room as well. There's 2 bathrooms in that locker room space. Here's the trainer's room on the left, and then you can see the concessions area, refreshments area on the right with the garage door pulled up, kind of that serving area with the countertop going out into that covered space area. Just some overview shots to really show the magnitude of what we've done here over the past year or so. It really looks cool to see it all put together and completed. It's a great project, something that we're proud of, and I hope you all are proud of it as well. It's great to see. I walked through there this evening before this board meeting, and a lot of the public is out there playing tennis and enjoying the space, so it's really cool to see it being used. Over here at the Early Learning Center, things are running really well, working through really getting into finishes at this point. We got ceilings going in, we got paint on the walls. Millwork should be showing up here in the next couple weeks. We should start seeing cabinets going in. Once those are dropped, you know, we'll see our LVT flooring going down, carpet going in. It's really starting to take form in there. The area C over here where we're connecting into the admin area, that is really in the same spot. We're looking at breaking into the existing space in May once school is out and kind of marrying up those 2 areas with our electrical and HVAC and finishing and turning over that space at the same time as areas A and B. A lot of pressing work to do here in the coming months as school lets out. We're getting into the kitchen, getting things turned over there. We got a lot of work to do at the front entry with some canopy work that's going to be out there and kind of reworking that front entry. So it's going to be a hard push here come May and in the summer months to get things turned over, but everything seems to be tracking great. Our materials are lined up and ready to go, so really no concerns on the procurement end. Outside, we got baseball and softball getting ready to turn over. Softball should be pushed to get turned over here in the next few weeks. We're pushing by April 5th to have that softball space turned over to you guys. We got some sidewalks to pour yet. Baseball's looking more like the end of April. Just a little bit of extra work there that we weren't able to get completed prior to the winter hitting us. It was wet and there was a lot of frost in the ground. It took a lot to get out. It was a mud pit for the past few weeks. Luckily, it's been dry and sunny for the past few days, so it's dried out nice. And then rugby, we're pushing towards the end of May to have rugby completed and turned over. You'll start seeing turf go down on the rugby fields probably in about 3 weeks. So it's good to see that. And then the on-site or the site concrete work, just everything we got to pour around that press box at that baseball field, and then coming into our parking lot areas, getting our curbs done and starting to get some asphalt done here in the next few months is going to be a huge accomplishment as we start to turn over that building. So a few photos here. This is just a good overview. You can kind of see all the way to the west there that baseball and softball fields and how the rugby fields are graded out. And then really the inside of the courtyard there, we'll start some of that playground work coming here in the next few months. Once school lets out, we'll be doing all that interior playground work there. Just showing some windows going in, the equipment room with all the pumps for the geothermal system, all coming together really well. Our switchgear is on site. We got a little bit of work to run the water main into the building so we can start getting water on the system, but it's great to have switchgear on site on any project because it takes forever to get. So when it shows up, it's a huge milestone. So it's good to see that on site and getting put in place. Just a picture of the main media center with the tall windows there. Bathroom tile is basically done in the entire space. In every bathroom, all the walls are tiled and ready to go. We'll start working through some of the epoxy flooring here in the next few weeks and putting some fixtures in. You can see there the press box. We got the backstop fence posts in. The baseball dugouts are ongoing. We got steel getting installed for the roof next week, and we'll start being able to get those kind of trimmed out and finished up with the fence guys on site. Any questions?
No, thank you very much. It looks like it's coming along great, and hopefully you keep having good weather.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, I want to compliment on the tennis building, the design and the workmanship. Ashley and I had a chance to walk through it today after a meeting, and that concession area, it just really gives you a really good, comfortable feeling. And I'm not sure how many places have an area where the players can actually go meet and talk to their coaches, and And it's just wonderful. And, you know, come by, you know, last spring, and I'm sure it'll take place, or last fall and this spring, the number of people in the community using those tennis courts
Yeah.
is outstanding.
Yeah, one
It
thing to
really
make
is.
note, there is a ribbon cutting on April 1st at 4:30. I'm not sure if everybody is aware of that, but we will have a ribbon cutting on that date as well.
But it's really nice. It's
It
going to be
is.
great.
Yeah, it's a state-of-the-art facility for sure. Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to send your PowerPoint to the Assistant Commissioner at ISHA and say, hey, we'll be glad to host a tournament.
Yeah,
Since he
absolutely.
lives here and his wife teaches for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Great.
Awesome, yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like that came in early, so thank you very much for all
Yeah.
the work on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Thank you, thank you.
oh, one last thing, the lights are going up on the fields.
Yes, they are.
The
Yep,
poles,
they
they
were
were,
getting installed today.
on the rugby side, they were putting those up today. And I think Mike said here in the next week, Brian, you think, week or so, the lights should be up, couple weeks?
Yeah, but probably another 2 weeks.
Yeah, so that'll be exciting. And I let one of our rugby moms know that lights are going up, but the field will be a little delayed. They're just thrilled and looking forward to summer and tournaments in the fall out there, so.
Absolutely.
And just to notice, that'll be for soccer in the fall. Our kids, we won't have to go to Grand Park. We'll be able to be there. It'll be great because when you have a home soccer match, you can't practice very long. Now they can come out here when you have your boys and girls going. So, and so lacrosse will use the soccer and then obviously rugby. So it'll get a lot of use.
Yeah.
And maybe someday girls flag football.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for your time again. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, we invite Jonathan from Meyer Construction to the podium, please.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Guess I would like to start with some celebrations. Ashley, first with you, thank you for everything at Topgolf. That was a great event. Really enjoyed it. Just looking around the room, there's a lot of things that have changed since the last time I've been able to present. I know Matt's been here last time, but congratulations to you on your new opportunity and you on a very successful career. I know it's been obviously a unique circumstance for you guys to probably go through that transition as well, and it's exciting though to see that kind of come into fruition. So, yeah. Well, it's actually a little bit more free time, right? Yeah. But here again to kind of update you on all of our projects. So we'll start going through the slides and stop me at any point for any questions. So we'll start with transportation. Things are really progressing nicely on the building. As you drive by on 32, I'm sure you continue to see progress be made. The canopies, the asphalt, the exterior of the building really just looks complete at this point. The interior of the building, as you can see in these pictures, we're continuing with finishes, anything from wall tile to ceiling grid, mechanical improvements and the like. In the administrative suite office area, this is kind of the norm of what you're looking at. We've really navigated financially well on this job as well. As you can see, we've only spent 10% of contingency to date. We don't have any I would say there's probably still some unforeseens on the outside with everything going on with the tie-ins of the utilities that are still being sorted out. But for the most part, we've really dodged a lot of unforeseens on this campus, which has been a great blessing to the finances of this job. As far as in the other areas of the building, well, before I go into that, I should mention the two things that did hit contingency in the last 60 days since last time we were there. There was a water line that needed upsize for the ice machine, and then there was some unsuitable soils associated with some of the storm work. But again, from a fiscal standpoint, with the percent complete we are on the job compared to what the dollars have been spent, it's an amazing discrepancy in a good way. Here's some kind of shots of the inside of the bays, and here's some notes for the next 60 days that we'll be going through. The bays will get poured as far as the concrete. We're finalizing the in-ground pits. As you guys recall, there are those in there, but for the most part, the bays are going to be serviced by the mobile lifts, which are able to leverage anything from small, say a pickup truck, all the way up to a school bus vehicle. Gives you more agility, but you also have the traditional lifts in place for the mechanics. Kind of you can see there the concrete and the canopies in place in the top right there, and the exterior of the building and the roofing is near complete. Any questions on transportation before carrying over to the town road project?
I had a chance, Brian walked me through the building last week, and from a staff development standpoint, the large multi-purpose room there is going to be great for John and Ryan and their team to have meetings in addition to transportation, but it's going to be just fabulous for that. It could also be made available for community meetings, and it's just going to be a very multi-purpose task. And I have volunteered to drive the golf cart to get bus drivers from one end to the other.
Yeah.
Because that's a long way.
Yeah, and it's not even, this isn't even the full design build out. There's still room
If I
for-
could still rollerblade, I'd come out, but I don't want to enhance my medical insurance. But
That's okay.
It is truly a fabulous
Just
facility.
don't do that while we're still on site, or our insurance will not be enjoying that.
But
Wear a hard hat.
It's a tremendous facility. Very
Yes, it
impressed.
is. We've had the great opportunity to build. This is one of 4 we've done, and I'm not saying this just to toot your horn. This is by far the Taj Mahal of them in a good way because of how large the district you are. I mean, it's built for the future. The community room, as you mentioned, I mean, I would venture to say it's at least double the size. And with the addition of Shamrock, which we'll talk about in that community space, you really have some nice agility to host community events and your staff trainings and things along those lines. And it's a very nice facility. So on the Town Road project, you've heard us talk about this for a while. We did get some trees knocked down and some moving of dirt. We are still, as you would expect, with dealing with NDOT, Army Corps of Engineers, the city, Citizens Water, Citizens Sewer. Approvals are within the next 30 days is the hope for all of it. We are still trending to have all of the water and all the sanitary onto transportation this fall for the delivery of the project. Obviously, that's just part of it. There is still parts of the work along 32 with the homeowners and the due diligence associated with that. So there's more to come with that update probably in 60 days when we're back to talk to you guys. But it'll be an exciting project for everybody. It will be very impactful to the community. You'll probably get some phone calls as the construction starts of the curiosity of what's going on, and we'd be happy to help field those conversations. To date, you can see we've spent $0 because there hasn't been much movement on the contingency. And if things go well with the soil conditions and the utility sizing and all that, we do feel comfortable with seeing that number stay pretty low. Just so does everybody know the scope of this pretty clearly? And if not, I'm happy to talk about that. But since we haven't, okay, so basically we're widening the road along 32 as you leave Eagletown, and then going north towards transportation. We're extending the road of Town Road all the way back to the tree line, essentially. With that comes along water and sanitary. The sanitary will start at the actual creek, basically, and head over to the property. The water line, however, if you know where the Amoco gas station is near your current transportation, we tap the water line there, go through Eagletown, across the creek, through a wetland, and then downtown road to our building. But we're also providing services all the way over to Centennial, which is where the middle school project will tap both water and sanitary for that building. So this utility infrastructure piece is beyond just this project. It's really going to be a gateway that the school is investing in for that entire property you own. So it's a pretty unique and challenging project. And with that, there will be a signal. The thought is it has to go through approval still, but the long vision would be a signal at that new Town Road interchange. And then future on the Hagerman project, which is the middle school, there would be improvement along Centennial as well, which is a separate project of ours. So that's the 2-minute high-level summary of what that project is. So moving on to the operations building. So some exciting news. Since last time we were here, the bids came in fully within the original budget. We did that in 2 packages. We did the early release for the pre-injured metal building, storage building, if you recall, just the structure of that. That got on order and it's available for delivery within the next couple of weeks. However, since we just bid out the remaining part of the job, permitting and all that is still going through the process with the county and the city, but we anticipate getting that within the next week or 2, which will allow us to mobilize in the next 30 days. And we will be not primarily, but only focusing on the pre-injured metal building between now and when transportation is delivered, as you guys need to be able to move out of your current transportation facility prior to moving on site to demo the current and then add on to the building for your operational building. So the idea is around November, we'll be on site here, kind of improving and expanding the current property as you see it today. So any questions on the operations building before going to Shamrock? There is a groundbreaking event in May. It should be on all of your schedules. It is prior to the board meeting in May, I believe. So we would love to have you guys there, and there'll be some outreach, I'm sure, working with Ashley and team to make that happen. Moving on to Shamrock. So you guys probably go by this one more than any of them, depending on where you guys live in the district. But obviously right across from the high school. We are trying to get enclosed in the next 30 days on the building addition. The concrete should be getting poured in the next week in the community space, and then immediately following that, the metal stud framing and enclosure piece will follow. In the existing footprint of the former library, we've already started doing all the mechanical upgrades, the walls, so on and so forth. So that's ahead of schedule compared to the addition, as you would expect. But we are still tracking very positively, pushing along, working as many hours as we can every week to get this thing open here later, early fall, I guess would be first day of school is still the goal. Contingency usage, you can see 31% today. That pot of money was smaller due to the fact that it was a smaller project, so percentages kind of work against you, but we're probably 55, 60% done and billed to date, so we're still trending positively, and most of that had to deal with some existing conditions of the building that were just unknown until demo started, including there was broken roof trusses of the existing facility, the roof had damage, so on and so forth, which those are to be expected, and that's what contingency is for, so no surprises there, but just part of doing business, unfortunately. Any questions on Shamrock as we continue to reconfigure and expand that facility? Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great work, thank you.
All right. Finally, Brian Kelly, Director of Construction for Westfield Washington Schools, will provide an update on the Garmin and Hagerman project. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Board, for letting me take this time to present. And being the first time I've been able to present in front of the board, I just wanted to give a quick high-level overview of my role as Director of Construction, because it is a new role for the school system. And really, I am the school's representative, point of contact for all of the issues, whether it is a construction issue, a design issue, a timing issue, a coordination. There's a number of things that are owner supplied in all of these projects. So I'm the point of contact to bring that request or that information back to the school system, to the appropriate party, and then take it back into the construction meetings. I attend construction meetings on all of the projects. We hold them every other week for all four contractors that we've got. And then I'm on site probably every other day at each construction site to go through. What I do is I look at the construction schedule and I make sure things are staying within the construction schedule to keep things online. Where there's a deviation, that's when I'll bring that up in the construction meetings, making sure there's a plan to bring the project back under the timeline that we need it to be. And I will say, we're really fortunate as a school system to have the four contractors we've got. I've been involved in construction for over 30 years. The four companies that we've selected to do these projects really are some of the best I've ever worked with and ever seen. So we're really, really fortunate, and I feel really comfortable going forward with this massive undertaking, right? It's an awful lot, and you all know that. It's an awful lot of construction for a single school system to undertake. And we're really fortunate to have the teams that we've got. My presentation tonight isn't to go into detailed construction of what Hagerman and, Garmong, Garmong will be doing. They'll do that at the next board meeting. So I'm really looking at more of a high-level overview of those projects. And to start with the middle school, I was out at that site today. That site is progressing really nicely, especially coming out of winter. All the footers are complete. Foundations are probably about 60% complete over there. Steel is being delivered and will start being erected next week. That's always exciting to see something coming up out of the ground. If you go by that site, you'll see a lot of the concrete sanitary piping and some of the infrastructure work that's going to be done in the next couple of weeks now that weather's permitting. So that project's about to really start taking off. And that's going to be an impressive building. The Garmong projects, both Shamrock Elementary and Midland Crossing Elementary, we had some slow starts on those, mostly due to regulatory agency approvals. As we all know, Westfield is struggling to keep up with all of the work that's going on, and not just talking about the school system, but just everything in Westfield. If it doesn't have a building on it already, there's one in the works planned for it, right? We see that everywhere we go. And that really taxes both the city, the utility companies, with all of the work and the information that they have to gather to give their permits. So we did get a slower start, specifically on Midland Crossing. I'm happy to report that at the meeting today, they laid out a very detailed schedule that has us right back on track. So it's been pressed on them a number of times how critical that opening of that building is. It's kind of the linchpin for the district reorganization. They're very, very aware of that, and I was really pleased today in the construction meeting to hear just how much they've done to get that right back on track, and fully expect that to open right on time, which was really nice to hear. On that project, they've got about 40% of the geothermal wells complete. That's a big milestone to get that drilling done and get those rigs out of the way so we can get going with the site and the rest of the infrastructure that needs to go underground. Elevator shafts are going to start next week. If you've been by that site, you've seen a lot of steel going up. So one of the wings, the steel is probably about 80% complete. The rest of it's all going to go up as fast as they can get the steel delivered to the site. So that project's going really well. Shamrock Elementary, we're still working through some permitting issues on that one. Thankfully, we've got a little bit easier path with Shamrock because we've got an existing building. So right now, the schedule has slipped back. We were hoping for an August 2026 open date. Right now, we're looking at October. We are going to continue to see if we can press that schedule forward wherever we can. But until we get the water and sewer permits from citizens, that one's dragging a little bit. Similar to what we had at Midland, so there will be some recovery on that schedule. Just to what extent, we won't know until we get those permits and really get things going into the ground over there. But footers, they'll start footers next week is the anticipated date for that, and steel's already starting to arrive on site, so they're getting things lined up to go as fast as we can once the cities and the utility companies will allow. That's the overview for both Garmong and Hagerman. If anybody has any questions on those projects, I'm happy to try and answer for you.
So it sounds like we're just kind of waiting on permits from the water company?
We are. Water, sewer, and citizens is both of those. It's kind of unprecedented. We are in round 3 of comments, which no one really knows why. That's not normal. Usually, drawings, plans are submitted to the utility. They go through them. They provide a list of comments back to the design team. The design team responds to all those comments, submits them back to citizens.
Right.
Usually, there might be a second round of comments, minor ones. To have a third round of comments come back from them is unprecedented. It's not normal. Why that's happening, we're not sure. I can only guess that it's because they're so overloaded that they can't get into the detail that they would normally do on their reviews. Right now, we are expecting by the end of this week to have the final approval from citizens. We're not expecting a 4th round.
Right.
Fingers crossed. So by Friday, we're expecting to have that release and be able to really start moving some dirt over there.
Thank you.
So just to clarify the rounds of questioning, then if they're overloaded versus maybe doing their own internal review, they're just kicking back questions? Is that?
I'm sorry, I missed the second half of that.
Instead of completing their own internal review, or maybe looking through the plans and understanding what's going on or being proposed, they're just kicking back more questions?
We really don't know. That's
Okay.
kind of what we were talking about today in one of the meetings I was in. It's like, are they just not having the time to do the detailed review that they would normally do?
Mhm.
And again, it's just a speculation.
Mhm.
Just to have that third, we
Yeah.
fully expected on the second review, in response to the comments, that we would get the permit.
Right.
Only to get another list of comments back. They were like, well, why didn't you ask these
At the
previously?
first, yeah, on the first
Right,
round, yeah.
so
Okay, thank you. All right.
not
that
sure
is
why that's
mystical,
happening,
yeah.
but it's It's a little unnerving.
Unfortunate, yeah.
Anything else?
Anybody else? Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Thank you, gentlemen, for the updates. Very informative and appreciative. Thank you. Up next on the agenda is operations building bids. Mr. Tom and Michael.
So as Mr. Haggerty pointed out, operations building has been completely bid out. So tonight we present the bids for the total project to you. Total bid package comes in at $14.7 million, which is under budget from where we expected the project to be at. As Mr. Haggerty pointed out, we will be doing the kind of storage building first. So we'll be moving some of our buses off site here as soon as the spring, parking them really at Maple Glen during the evening in their bus slot so we can pull some off site, and then remainder of the project will not begin until we have moved into the new transportation center. So we would ask that the board approve the bid package for the operations building.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the bids for the Westfield Operations Building as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved in second to approve the bids for the Westfield Operations Building. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The motion is passed. Thank you, Brian. We will return to you for the next item of business agenda, the portable classroom bids.
Thank you. So as we work through some of these construction projects and continue to see rapid growth in the district, we do have two buildings that are going to be in the need of portables for next year. The first building is Monon Trail Elementary School. We are looking at having 2 portables, which equates to 4 temporary classrooms outdoors. And then when we look at Westfield Intermediate School, as we begin to start to do some phase remodeling on that building for it to become Westfield Elementary School, we will have 3 portables out there, which equates to 6 temporary classrooms. Luke Hildebrand and his team, he spent a lot of time working on this kind of pre-opt before we got into the RFP, looking at whether leasing or purchasing would be the best process as we move forward. Due to the timeline of how long we'll have the buildings in place, it just at that point made more sense for us to purchase it. Down the road at some point, through Dr. Atha and others, we will have to consider whether we keep those and store them on site somewhere as we continue to grow and possibly need them in the future, or we've also had conversations with some other surrounding school districts that are getting ready to go through the same process that will be looking to purchase as well. So we may have some buyers when we are done with them, or we could choose to keep them, but that is a later decision to be made. So we did a RFP for portables to have purchased and install done. The winning bid for those projects, I'm trying to find it in the write-up, was Modular Genius. As we went through that, just over $1 million, $1,032,984.87. The bid does include the purchase, delivery, setup, including the foundations and all stairs and ramps that are required for ADA. Our personal staff will then take care of hooking the building power up, fire alarms, data, and a PA system out there. We will also be responsible for putting a fence up to secure the entire perimeter of the areas in which they'll be as well. So still a little bit more cost beyond this for us to kind of finalize the sites. As we look at the intermediate school, these will be placed kind of in the back of the building where the basketball courts are for the playground currently. And then when we look at Monon Trail next door here, they will actually be in the front, out front of the cafeteria, kind of out by open doors area, and that kind of big green space out front. So with all these, we've also ensured that their location is close enough to a door, so there will not be restrooms in the portables. Will actually be in the building. They will have full access, which also then will be completely secured with fencing and everything else. So no one can get into that area. It is completely secure, but only our kids can get in and out of the building along with our staff as we work through that as well. So happy to answer any questions, but we would ask that the board approve the portable bids. These projects, we would go ahead and place the order, and then they will be installed in June, so all July they could be set up and ready to go the first day of school.
Any questions? Are these brand new portables? Or
Yes,
are they?
these will be brand new portables.
Okay.
Yep.
No questions? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchase of the portable classrooms from Modular Genesis as presented.
So moved.
I have a so moved. Do I hear a second? Second. It has been moved in second to approve the purchase of the portable classrooms.
I do have some questions.
Yes.
How many total? 3 for?
So each portable room each portable pod has really 2 classrooms in it. So there will be 2 pods at intermediate and then 3 pods at 3 pods at the intermediate, 2 at Monon.
Oh, okay.
So 4 and 6, classroom-wise.
And so obviously for the 25-26 school year,
Mhm.
and then
So
the
the
next
current plan is Monon would be set up for 1 school year, the 25-26 school year. The intermediate would have the ability then for 2 school years in a row for 25-26 and 26-27.
And just to add on to this, and Paul, you might be able to answer this better, or John, either one. This isn't because we need to add on to the schools, it's because we need to redistrict as we build the other elementaries and everything else, that we're gonna have overflow and everything else, but I'll let you talk more on that.
Well,
Go ahead, John.
yeah, I was going to say, I just pulled it up here. Enrollment today, Monon Trail sits at 799 students. And then the intermediate school will lose, let me look at this here, I got to make sure I see it correctly. 733 6th graders and get 821 4th graders. That's today's numbers. So they'll start the year, if it was today, at 1650. So they'll be pushing 1,700 students next year. However, in 26, 27, when we open up our new schools, we'll have 8 elementaries. And I did that math just so everyone knows. With today's numbers, that would be 598 K through 5th graders in 8 buildings on average. So 600 kids in 8 buildings is what it would be. And so we do need to rebalance our attendance lines to make sure that works. And we can, I guess, share a little bit that we'll begin working on that. We're going to create a timeline. But it'll happen early next fall just because we want to get through the next round of growth before we start drawing those lines to make sure, and the city will have a comprehensive plan completed that will help guide us so we know where the next phase or next round of growth is happening.
And to add on what Dr. Heath has said, so 6th grade in the fall of 26-27 will stay at the intermediate building, which then will be Westfield Elementary School. And the portables will be very important for that also. The other long-term thing that's great about the portables, let's say, west of town, rumor has it we may have a few houses. We could take one neighborhood and say, okay, because we're gonna have room at that building, especially with the portables, we may take a neighborhood and say, you're gonna go there while we're exploring building that 9th elementary school. So by bringing the portables in, it gives a tremendous amount of flexibility long-term, especially with we know there's going to be growth, but the location will depend on the plan that the mayor and the city are working on. So it's good expenditure of money, and for that 1 year, 6th grade will be in that building with the K through 5 students, and there'll be room to accommodate that. John, any other feedback on that?
No, I'm just kind of laughing a little bit because I believe it was in 2008 as Monon Trail finished up. I was at a school district west of here, or east of here, and I bought 4 portable classrooms off of Westfield Washington Schools as they caught up with some growth and we needed them over there. So as Brian said, in this neck of the woods, there's always sometimes people who need those. So I think it's a great investment for us, as Dr. Kaiser says. And we could actually even, depending on how it goes, we could relocate those rooms where we might need them if we experience another, surge as we plan and for the future. So what we heard from our principals is with all the shifts that need to come is they would prefer, Monon Trail would prefer to keep their families for next year and create the space for them as opposed to try to shift people now and then shift them again. So that's our plan.
So we have one freeing up as the Shamrock Academy comes online, though, right? So that'd be
That one is not
go out of
usable.
service.
No,
Okay.
it needs to go out of service. There's also an old one that the football uses for storage. It also needs to go out of service. And then I just want to say, we did reach around to other districts to see if anybody had older ones we could buy. Nobody had any available right now either. So purchasing or leasing really became our only option.
Thank you. Very good. All right, at this time, hearing motion, hearing none, in favor say aye. We've done that. Thank you. Moving on, Brian, will you present the next? Oh, sorry. Getting ahead of myself. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are opposed? Thank you. The motion passes. Food service, point of sale. Moving on, Brian, if you want to talk about that.
Yep, thank you. So when we went through our audit this past year, one of the items that came to our attention during our findings from the audit was really just the accounting of our food service point of sale side. We have the traditional, every kid has their code they punch in. Where we've run into some issues is some kids share their codes with their friends. Some friends take those to other buildings, and then the right code doesn't associate to the right school, or kids' accounts are getting used by their friend who memorized their code. So as we looked at it, we just looked at what is the best way, what is some of the best practice. Mr. Hall and then Mr. Shearer went around and visited some other schools to see what other districts are doing, and really Noblesville and a few others, but Noblesville specifically has been utilizing more of a fingerprint scanner at point of sale. It does not keep your personal data. It's really just a association to your number. Also, when they went and visited Noblesville as well, it greatly sped up efficiency through the system. It guarantees that it's hitting the right kid's account. It cleans up a lot of our back-end accounting and the finding from the State Board of Accounts as well. So full rollout of this would be proposed for next year, but we would also like, depending on where Mr. Hall and Mr. Shearer decide, to sample a few schools possibly as early as this year, once approved. It is with the same current system that we're using. I believe Mike and Paul are both here to answer any questions you have any. Dan's here to answer any technology questions if you have any about kind of the security side of things. But we would ask that we could move forward, moving to a fingerprint point of sale scanner for our students, starting as early as this year and then fully in place as next year. Cost to the district is about $13,000, and it will all be paid out of the food service fund. Happy to answer any questions, and so are they in the audience as well.
Sorry, my first question is, how are you going to initially get all the fingerprinting done all at once?
I will allow Mr. Hall to come up to walk through some of that.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to answer that question for you, because that is a big question that we have. And Mr. Shearer and I had the opportunity to go over to Noblesville, talk with their food service director, and really learn how they went through to get the finger scans. So it's really just looking at the way the finger touches the screen. It's not taking an actual fingerprint. It's just the way your finger touches the screen, it associates it with that number. So there is no actual fingerprint that's taken, if that makes sense. The way that they did it, and Mr. Shearer has had the opportunity to have some conversations with building level principals to see what's going to be the best way to go through this with our kids that allows them to not slow down the lunch line, right? That's ultimately the goal. When we hear that Monon Trail is 799 kids, and you're looking at a 25, 30-minute window of kids waiting, we watched, was it third grade, Paul? We watched 145 third graders at Noblesville go through the lunch line in 4 minutes. Which means they have more time to eat, and it's not that rush to get them through the line. We also encounter a lot of times with Paul's staff when they have sickness. Paul may sit in at the computer. Well, he doesn't know every kid in every building, and you can imagine 5-year-olds aren't that anxious to tell him their name, right? Because they don't know him. And so as we problem solved and really had the opportunity to talk to Noblesville, this just provides a great opportunity to provide a better service for our kids and our families as they go through. And so the way you do it is we will work with classroom teachers, just like they do sometimes when it's, I'll think of it, the middle school scheduling. Counselors maybe go down to a classroom, pull a student out, they're going to work on that scan to get those touch points and send them right back into class. So the student may be out of class 1 minute, and then they'll be right back into class. So it's going to take us a lot of time. Paul's team's committed to it. And we're going to see where we get by the end of the year. We're going to start young, right, because those are the kiddos that struggle with their numbers. We even tried badges this year, but passing badges out, collecting badges, we lost badges. We tried all types of different things to improve that process and system, and we really think that this is going to be a game changer for us. So we'll go classroom by classroom. Paul's team's ready to do it, and we'll kind of see where we are at the end of the year. We would like the permission to start with one building so we can work out kinks before we bring back 10,000 kids and kind of work through those numbers. We've got a plan to also catch up with some high school kids when they come through for some of those schedule days and those types of things during the summer to try to get those students through as well. And that one's obviously easier to get a 16-year-old to put their finger on there than a 5-year-old and be consistent. So we are excited. We think, again, just the last comment, and I've said it multiple times tonight, is it's going to provide a better service for our kids as they go through the lunch line.
Does this price include all the buildings?
It includes all the buildings.
Wow, and then installation and programming and all that?
Yep.
Wow, it's the same system Noblesville uses?
They use lunchtime as well, Paul? Okay. Yeah, it's a similar system, but it is through our current programming of lunchtime. So it's a tool that's used in thousands of schools really across the country. So,
Right. But
yeah.
this building as well? Or no?
Well, ELC will not.
ELC, no?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So this just is a one-time purchase, it's not a yearly
Subscription.
subscription type thing?
With lunchtime is a yearly subscription that we pay for, but we're purchasing just the scanners right now, so this will be an initial purchase. It'll come out of the 800 fund, so it doesn't come out of the general budget. It'll come out of my 800, and then there'll be, there's almost like a smaller type fee of monitoring throughout the year, but we're talking about hundreds and not thousands or tens of thousands.
Great.
So we'll still pay our annual subscription fee for lunchtime, because this system does run through lunchtime, so there won't be any additional payment for that.
Great, thanks.
So we could potentially make this amount up with labor in our finance department maybe, because it would save you time?
It would be labor in your food service department.
Oh, okay. Maybe both, I don't know if it helps.
You always need help.
So that's a great comment. At Noblesville, again, they did 160 students in 4 minutes with one cash register. We currently run 2 cash registers at our elementary schools.
I'm just imagining, if you're taking names, somebody has to input that information, and now they don't.
Well, currently they're plugging in numbers, so their student identification number, but you can imagine how, a lot of times we just don't remember our number when you're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, right? And so then it does, our cafeteria teams are amazing, they know their kids, right? So they quickly realize that this is Mr. Anderson, and they take care of it for them. This will speed up that process. Now, when Paul covers, like, he has no idea, obviously, because he's in 1 or 2 buildings, of our 10 buildings, he's in all of them. And so this will help that process when we have subs.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions, comments? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchase of the Focal Tech True BioScan finger scanning system as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
It has been moved in second to approve the purchase of the Focal Tech True BioScan finger scanner. Any other discussions, questions? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion has passed. We will return to you once again, Mr. Tom and Michael, for the Ascension St. Vincent's School-Based Behavioral Health Contract Amendment.
Yep. So this amendment, honestly, is a big thing to Kyle Miller and his work with the Ascension St. Vincent's. So since 2019, we've been partnering with St. V's on a lot of our behavioral health services. We've been paying a flat rate, and it's also been paid out of a grant. As we've moved to transitioning the grant away and keeping those services in-house, we've really been itemizing, and Kyle's done a great job of looking at how often are we fully staffed, how's that billed back, how's that running through. So this amendment moves from that flat rate to a true fixed amount per staff member as we have those staff members on site. So the maximum amount would still be that $297,500 or $297,500, which is what we've been paying, assuming we're fully staffed. It's one of those situations where we'd love to pay the full amount because that means we've had a person in every one of our buildings as are hired to be the whole time. Also, with just staffing and the hard to fill nature of that role, there are times when we are not fully staffed, so then we would be able to prorate our portion as we go through it as well. In the past, this has not been as big of an issue because of the billing metrics that have been in place, that it hasn't really fallen on us when we aren't fully staffed. Moving forward, though, that's where the change needs to come into place. So we're asking that the board approve the amendment to the contract, which just moves us from a flat annual fee to more of a staffing model fee.
Very good. Any questions? At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the St. Vincent's contract amendment as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Has been moved in second to approve the Ascension St. Vincent's contract amendment. If there's no other discussions or questions, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is passed. The final item on the business of operations portion of the agenda is the Westfield High School DECA Club field trip.
Yep. So last item is just an overnight field trip. Westfield High School DECA students will be competing and attending the DECA International Career and Development Conference in Orlando, Florida, April 25th through May 30th. Since it is overnight field trip, it does require the board approval. Students will be responsible for payment of the trip. We would just ask that the board approve the overnight field trip from April 25th through April 30th.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the Westfield High School DECA Club overnight field trip as presented.
So moved.
I have a move. Do I have a second motion?
Second.
It has been moved in second to approve the Westfield High School DECA Club overnight field trip. Any questions?
Just want to congratulate them on all the success.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Very good. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Are opposed? Motion is passed. And now for Dr. Athos, first item on the curriculum agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Still, members of the board. The first item is a resolution for a supplemental payment stipend under the Early Literacy Achievement Grant. So the Early Literacy Achievement Grant was established in House Bill 1001 in the 2023 session. It took effect last year, so you passed this resolution or a version for last year. But basically, this resolution authorizes our payroll team to pay the teachers who qualify for this grant. We do a kind of a similar thing with the TAG grant. And our attorneys, Church Hill and Antrim, wrote this resolution. I'm not going to read it, but it's presented to you. There's also a sheet there that outlines how we have to distribute that grant. And so it is a little complex because you have to go, there is a formula there. It talks about, now it outlines the formula. I've never actually seen it applied, but it describes what it should be. But you go back to last year, and any K1, 2, or 3 teacher that or support teacher that was responsible for helping students with iRead qualifies for this stipend. And so in Westfield, we have 181 educators that are going to receive a stipend. It's, I think it came out to $209.62. And so some of those, 6 of those get a half of that stipend because if you're a half-time, we have a couple part-time. And so they direct us, if that's the case, then to prorate it for those folks. And so this is just one of those things. Actually, we didn't know about it till December of 24, and so we figured it out. I want to shout out to Kat on our team, and then Brian's team and Chris's team, because to make this work, there's some calculations. We have to cover fixed costs, turf, and FICA in that, and so you have to back all that out, and there's some formulas. So we have people who work behind the scenes, and this is just one of those added duties they receive from legislation that we didn't really have any input on, right? But anyway, we need to pay, we have to distribute it by the end of March, so we want to have the board approve this resolution so we can include it in the March 20th pay. So we would recommend approval of this resolution as presented.
Very good. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution of 2025-3 grant as presented.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It has been seconded. and moved for, sorry, it has been moved and second to approve the resolution of 2025-3. Is there any discussions or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is passed. Thank you, Dr. Atha. We'll hand it back over to you for the curriculum update.
And I'm going to ask Dr. Hoover, since this is his night, to come to the podium and just give a few updates on what we have going on, our curriculum team, our collaborative team leaders, and our math work. So I'm putting him on the spot. We're going to see how he does.
Must not have checked my message, Dr. Reed, I said I was going to load it until June 30th, but apparently.
See how good you are on your feet.
Thank you. School board members, I would just like to give a quick update. We've been doing a lot of great things with our curriculum teams. Just to recap, we are currently working with I'm going to start off with our secondary. So our secondary 7 through 12 math and English language arts teams are going through the adoption process. They were kind of the last group that we needed to kind of cover over these last 3 years. We've done all of our K through 8. But 7, so obviously with middle school and high school being so linked because of curriculum and because of the new diploma, we are doing those two groups together. Very similar process that we've used. It's being driven by our teaching leaders. Our instructional coaches and myself work together to try to have an agenda and a plan for the day, but they're the ones that are really driving the review of the essential standards, of the resources, of what they're going to be working with our students. And for language arts, we are kind of coming up to the end here and making some recommendations that we'll be bringing to you here shortly. If there's any new changes for resources, books, things like that. For math, we're actually continuing to work with Dr. Mike Steele from Ball State. And he is working with our 9 through 12, or really our 8 through 12 math team, kind of just redefining what we want that to look like moving forward for our students. The diploma is really driving a lot of this because we're having to really reevaluate, when do we want students to take, say, for example, algebra, and when do we want, how much flexibility we have. Just so you guys know, the task force that the high school staff is going through, looking at schedules, obviously is something that we have to continue to talk about because that could have a potential impact on some of those things, but we will get there over time. They're going to be going through that for the next few months, and then obviously talking with us down the road. K through 8, we are continuing. We're meeting with Language Arts on Thursday to continue our work with CKLA. Through our S2S meetings with Dr. Kaiser and our admin staff, we've been hearing great feedback today. We met with the intermediate school and just heard from some teachers that just shared all kinds of positives. They are working so hard. Our teachers have just really taken to this, and they're just, they're doing what teachers do best here, and they're creating, they're looking at things that they had to fix, and they're making those adjustments as needed. And it's been going great from an assessment standpoint, from a curriculum standpoint. And then last but not least, just today, after school from 3 to 4, we had our last elementary, and from 4 to 5, we had our last secondary new educator meeting for the year. And so we had 6 of those. We had 3 first semester and then 3 this semester. This last one was focused solely on kind of getting them through the finish line, celebrations. Our coaches, K through 12, did an amazing job with that, but our new teachers were very, very excited about the process that we do to support them. And we do a survey with them to get honest feedback of things that we can improve on. Everything from structure to the resources that we provide them. And then just as a reminder, year 2 for our teachers in Westfield is that they will do coaching cycles with our coaches, so we don't just give up on them. We coach them all the way through from 1 year all the way up through their retirement. So things are looking good, and happy to answer any questions.
I want to, again, big picture, as we've talked a little bit about our growth and the restructuring of our district, the decisions to do that. I believe those changes we've all embraced and see as positive for our district. The thing we always have to keep in mind is it is a lot of work on our teachers. And so as we finish up this, we are big believers in high quality instructional resource, curriculum resource, research base. And so we'll have that all of the way and in place. And so as we start moving our teachers around and we form new teams, they've been working so hard, that will be very difficult because there'll be a piece there in the transition where I may have been working with you for 5 years, and now 2 of you go to a different school or a different grade level. And so we want to make sure we have all this work completed ahead of time. So when we get to that piece, it really is about building those relationships and the new teams and letting them work together with those tools, if you will, that we've provided for them to enhance their instructional practice. And so, again, it will be, as we begin this, a process of a challenge, an opportunity, but really that transition is where there will be emotional loss that we have to let go of. We've had a 5-6 building for almost 30 years, and those teachers have worked their tails off to make it the best 5-6 building in the state, in the country. And so all that work they're going to have to let go of at some point, right? And so we understand that, we appreciate them, and they really knocked it out of the park today in their S2S with all the things they were doing. And so just appreciate the work of our teachers. They are the best in the business, hands down, second to none. You want to talk about school choice? Right here, this is the school district you need to choose. We're right here for you, and we welcome everyone. So thank you, Dr. Hoover.
Now we'll hear from Ashley about our latest communications and community engagement.
Thank you. Many of our students have been really busy this past month with a lot of regional and state competitions, so there's a ton of them to recognize, so I'll kind of recognize them as groups. FFA, DECA, Foodies Rock, our FCCLA, speech and debate, high school basketball, gymnastics, high school unified bowling, high school, middle school powerlifters, high school, middle school wrestlers, and a couple other. They're all showing that they can perform in the classroom and on the field, ready for any opportunity. So just really want to celebrate all of our students for all those accomplishments. Many of them have won the regionals and the state, and so nationals and those things are coming up, and just want to give a shout out to them. We did have a successful 8th annual Top Golf event, so appreciate all of our community partners for making that possible. Together we raised over $86,000 that we'll be able to put back into the classrooms and support curriculum, leadership programs, and engagement. So excited and thankful for those partners. This week we showed those grants in putting them to work. We went out and awarded grants across the district again for spring grants. These are called impact grants, so they're not really classroom grants, they're meant to be overarching. We were able to award Sarah Leffler from the intermediate school a good amount of instruments to be able to support the growing school that they have there. Candace Hans and Brittany Gray from Washington Woods Elementary School, we're going to install a sensory room for them to support students that need that support. Angie Wall is working across the district. She's based out of middle school, but all this work will go across the district, implementing AAC boards to be able to share emotion and suggestion and different learning approach. Farrah Williams is expanding the International Library at the middle school to welcome and accommodate and build readers for all students. And Laura Mates is working on some professional development with teachers at Monon Trail. So the success of our fundraisers, we're putting it right back to work where we promise it's going to go. Shamrock Academy this month is focused on extracurricular activities, engagements. We do believe that when a student's engaged, when a family's engaged, it's just a better educational experience and you're going to get more out of it. So the more we can get students and families involved and share both sides and all of the pictures, that's the goal of that. On April 1st, Chris invited you guys to the tennis center ribbon cutting. So we're excited to host you guys on April 1st. It will be the first home match for the girls tennis, high school tennis versus Carmel. So that should be a good thing to come out and watch. And we're excited that we are gearing up for our annual appreciation event on March 28th. It'll be at Bowl 32. This is another thing that we do from the foundation, is really bringing our staff together and giving them a time to celebrate each other together, get to know each other, and build on that culture. So thankful for all those different programs.
Thank you. And now I ask the board members and Dr. Kaiser to share success stories from the past month.
I love all the ones that Ashley mentioned, and I think my favorite that I saw as I was looking through social media and following, that our speech and debate team actually set a school record with 9 students qualifying for nationals. So that's, they've always had a tremendous speech and debate team, but I think that's great. One of our students got Student of the Year, and our coach, Coach Ryan King, got Coach of the Year.
I know Ashley listed a bunch of things, but I would like to call out the Top Golf event. I got to witness that event, and it is a sight to behold. It's amazing to raise $86,000 in one day, but I know it's more than one day, but it's a tremendous event, and Ashley is the captain of that ship. I know you got help, but you run a tight ship, and that is an amazing event, so thank you for doing that. I also want to mention I went to the rugby fundraiser this past weekend. They do a trivia fundraiser for their season, their upcoming season, so they're very excited about the new fields. I think they had a very successful fundraiser. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully they raised a lot of money. I don't know, but it was a good time. And then I also want to mention Braden Smith, our own very own Braden Smith at Purdue University, was named Big Ten Player of the Year. It's amazing. And there was a bunch of stats, but a couple of them I picked up on was he is fourth in NCAA history to have over 500 points, 270 assists, 140 rebounds, and 70 steals. So he's made history, and he's our hometown kid. So it's pretty amazing.
He also broke the all-time assist record of Bruce Parkinson, and Bruce actually lives here in Westfield, played on the 78 Purdue team from Yorktown, Indiana. And he broke his record a few weeks ago. So I'll just congratulate all the winter activities. I mean, amazing. Our girls' basketball team was really competitive against the number 1 team in the state and across the board. And special congratulations to John and Ryan and really the whole curriculum team. I mean, I've never been around a team that focused on curriculum instruction the way they do, from our coaches to our principals, led by Ryan and John. So I'm just real excited about the future and our academic achievement and our kids growing and staff growing. It's going to be exciting.
We have the junior high wrestling tournament at the county tournament at the Westfield Middle School. It's gotten so big that they had to build another gym to add to it because they sold out the other one. But it is something to see if you've never seen it or ever been to it. Doug Luce puts on he's a very good host for the county.
I just want to remind all teachers and staff that Rock and Bowl is March 28th. When's the deadline to sign up, Ashley? Oh, March 28th. Okay, so it's going to be at Bowl 32, and it's staff appreciation. It's going to be super fun, so make sure you sign up and do axe throwing and bowling and whatever other activities you can think of while you're at Bowl 32. So just thanks for Ashley and her staff for putting on an appreciation event for everyone. And also, if you're interested in donating or helping with the prom committee, after prom is desperately looking for community members to engage. So reach out to, I think it's Sarah Gibbs is one of the facilitators at the high school that's working on implementing that, and prom is May 3rd, soon.
All right.
Ashley, I did 13 years of prom duty. I'm done. No, in my younger days. So, no, that's okay.
You don't want to end on an odd number like that. Our next regular board meeting will be held April 1st at 6:30. No kidding. Here in the room. Please note, due to the spring break, this is a week earlier than the normally held on our regular board meetings. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Is there a second? The meeting